Jasmine Jasovizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darts podcast.
We are live for another episode of the Darts Podcast, UFC Fight Night. We got Michel Pereira taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. And I'm here with my guys, Slick Montana, Mr. Plus Money, and Cal on the ones and twos. Coming off a weekend where I was on vacation in Italia, but no worries. The fellas held it down. I watched the show. I got in as many picks as I could. I loved all their takes. And you made money if you watched. I mean, Slick's favorite fighter in the main event, Brandon Royval. What a performance. What a fight from both gentlemen. And he is the only guy to be able to solve the grappling of Taita so far. Put it on him and got the win. Slick, how you feeling about your boy Royval right back in the title picture?
I'm just hoping he reads one of my 30 messages that I done sent him already. Wishing him well, wishing him good luck on every single fight. Always saying good stuff when he wins the fight. But man, I already got my Brandon Royval shirt in the mail, so hopefully have that on whenever I go to International Fight Week, and hopefully be able to see him out there.
Yo, you can only hope, man. Slick be in the building, rooting for his guy, and he's really impressing, man. The line was so far off, and looking back, my prediction was Taita. I even had him in a two-legger that didn't pan out, and I was thinking, damn, I missed that one, man. The line was off. Mr. Plus, you smacked a parlay bust for the squad. Love to see that. I think you were on Royval, too. You had a big night. How you feeling coming off the Plus bust and the Darts podcast parlay hitting?
I feel great, and we did have one fight that got canceled. We had Al Hassan, but that one got canceled. But we subbed in Themba Garimbo, and that came through. I put 15 units on the Darts parlay, and then I started doing some whiskeys and put 15 more units on the over 3.5 in the main event because I was coming off that big high winning. And then I also had Royval by points. Slick and I were on the same page last week, and I'll be honest, again, I'm going to just piggyback what Brasco said. If you watched last week's episode, I know our boy was chilling in Italy, but we held it down. We got you guys paid.
Yeah, I'm gonna head back out because, let's do that again. Wow, awesome work, man. You went heavy. Holy 30 units. The whiskey worked. Mr. Plus says, don't drink and bet, but sometimes it works to your advantage when you're firing off the right ways. Instinct kicks in, right? All right, guys, on to this week. UFC Fight Night, Pereira versus Fluffy Hernandez. It's not a great card, but it's a card. Like I always say, if two people are punching each other in the face, I want to bet on it. And let's kick it off with another Mr. Plus Parlay Bust.
Mr. Plus Parlay Bust, bet it all in trust. Jabs and hooks, it's all about the rush. Put it down on the underdog, never hush. Odds stack high, feel the thrill, that's a must. And I'll see you when that shit cashes. Celebrate the wins with clinks and flashes. From the cage to the payout stashes.
We got 3 fighters to talk about. I like all the selections you have in here. All pretty good fights. These are ones you want to tune in for. So how are we getting it done this time?
We cashed the last 2 Mr. Plus buses in a row. Let's cash 3 in a row. I'm going first leg, Charles Johnson. He's fighting Sumaderji. And listen, Sumaderji, for me, I don't hate the guy. He's just not active enough. Charles Johnson, on the other hand, been very active. 3-fight win streak. Very impressive last knockout against Josh Van. And I just see him controlling. He's tall and lanky for the division, keeps his distance, and that's what he likes. He likes to keep it on the feet, man. Definitely not a bad boxer. Throws the leg kicks in as well. I think Sumaderji's last 2 straight L's versus Tim Elliott, the sub, and Matt Schnell, the sub, weren't great looks. And honestly, the Matt Schnell, I watched it. He had some moments, but then he ends up getting subbed. So at the end of the day, coming off the 2-fight losing streak against a 3-fight win streak, I got to go with the trends. I'm sticking with Charles Johnson. That's leg number 1 on the parlay bus. Leg number 2, we're jumping up to the main card and the co-main event, I guess you could call it, but it's only 3 rounds. I'm going with Kyler Phillips. It's going to be interesting to see him against somebody as good as Rob Font, although this isn't the same Rob Font anymore. He's 37 years old, guys, against 29 up-and-comer Kyler Phillips that's going to have the momentum that just had a very impressive win against Pedro Munoz, where I was on the wrong side. So I'm jumping on the right side this time. Speed advantage to Kyler Williams, and this might go the distance. Both of these guys are decision machines, but I see a unanimous 30-27, maybe 29-28. Maybe Font can pull out one round, but I just don't see it. Font's lost 4 of his last 5 fights, and although they're the good competition, he's losing a step, man. And at 37, at some point you got to turn those gloves into octagon. You got to lay it up, hang it up, man. And again, I say that with respect. I do respect Rob Font. This is a bad matchup for him. A young kid, up and comer, super speed on the feet. I like Kyler Phillips. Give me him for the second leg of the Mr. Plus Bus. And to finish it off, we're going right to the main event, my dudes. And listen, you might think, well, the favorite in the main event is Fluffy Hernandez, and maybe I'm leaning that way. Nope, we're going with the dog to make this Plus Bus plus 320, my sweet spot, Michel Pereira. He's explosive. He's bigger. And ever since he's moved to 185, he has been dominating this division. Man, and then Brasco said he hopes he doesn't do it. I'd like to see it. You know he's going to do it if he gets the win anyway. Anybody doing full backflips during fights and right after the fight, I put my money on that guy. Fluffy Hernandez is solid. He's got solid BJJ, and he's got solid past wins. I mean, I think he's on a 5-fight win streak as well. Kopylov, Shabazian, even the Marc-Andre Barriault was an impressive win. This guy can do it all. But this is a new level of Michel Pereira, and we all know the explosiveness is going to be hard to stand. They both got some hands, but I just think the bigger guy is going to control this fight in the clinch. Michel Pereira's scary, got the knees, the elbows. I'm taking Pereira to cash us in on the third Mr. Plus parlay bus in a row. Where you boys at for this?
Let's go. And I remember they weren't going so well, but guys, at plus 320, you don't have to hit every one, right? We're not going to go 10 for 10 on parlay buses. If he's hitting 3 in a row here, back right in the green, and the plus 320 is spicy here. So let's talk about these legs. I love your breakdowns on these. Fire me up, Mr. Plus. First off, Charles Inner G Johnson. Look, minus 210 now to minus 230 as we were starting to film this podcast. I like it, man. I mean, he's on a roll, like you were saying. I really rate his wins, too. He's looked really good in them. That Joshua Van knockout, I was on Joshua Van. I'm so high on that young kid, and he uppercutted him into oblivion. I mean, the perfect shot. Charles Johnson, that great defense, that good feinting, that ability to mix it up. He's got great toughness, good striking defense. And ultimately, Slick, I think that's what it comes down to. Sumaderji, like Mr. Plus talked about, he gets submitted. He has bad submission defense, but it comes as a result of his bad striking defense. He gets cracked, and then he gets put away. And I think that's the major mismatch here. Charles Johnson has very good boxing defense. Sumaderji does not. So I see him getting pieced up. What do you think about energy in this spot, Slick?
Yeah, I love energy in this spot, man. This is just, like you said, one guy is durable, the other guy isn't. The one guy has defense, the other guy doesn't. And it's just for a simple fact that Charles Johnson is just getting better and better every time we see him in this ring, you know. He fought a high-level caliber guy in Joshua Van on the feet. You know, Joshua Van on the feet is nothing to be reckoned with. We've seen what he did to a guy like Edgar Chairez, a real good, durable guy in Edgar Chairez. So at the end of the day, man, Sumadarji, I just can't really trust him. Let's say if it's 1-1 going into the third, I'm going to feel 95% happy about my bet on Charles Johnson because Charles Johnson always goes hard in that third round, always doesn't try to let the fight go to the judges, trying to land his big punches. And Sumadarji is just, I wouldn't say he's not UFC caliber, but for the simple fact that he's always been that tall, lengthy guy with that reach on a lot of people, he's not going to have that in Charles Johnson. You know, he might have a good reach with his jab that he's good at. But other than that, I think Charles Johnson's got him covered everywhere. Might see Charles Johnson go to a little bit of his wrestling.
The submission defense is lacking, right? So maybe he looks to grapple more than people expect. That would be really fun, actually. I would really like to see Johnson pull out some grappling skills because he's got it. We've seen him defend against really high-level grapplers. So maybe he looks to put the offense on in that spot. Mr. Plus also brought up that Matt Schnell-Sumaderji fight. Holy shit, go back and watch that fight. Fight of the year contender. And the problem with that is that Sumaderji is the nail way more than he is the hammer in brawls that he gets into. So love that first leg. Second leg, Kyler the Matrix Phillips, one of my favorite nicknames in the sport. Minus 370, I was looking at it plus, and I was like, man, that feels wide. As I was saying it, minus 410 now. The market just keeps going up on Kyler Phillips. And Plus was talking about Rob Font, 37-year-old. I like that you gave him his respect, right? Really good boxer, really good jab. Solid bantamweight in the top 10 for a long time, but I agree with Plus's point. It just feels like he's on the back nine now, and Kyler Phillips is so tricky with his movement, with his diverse skill set and an array of strikes that he throws at you, the stance switching, the lateral movement, the knees, the elbows, the Muay Thai. He mixes it up in such a cool way, and I think he's only getting better. So I think he's going to be able to put it on Font. Maybe Font makes it the whole way, but I think Phillips could potentially shine in this matchup the more I thought about it. Thought the tag was wide at first, and then I thought, you know what? It's warranted. Slick, what are you thinking about Phillips as a wide favorite here?
Yeah, man, I'm so pissed at myself because I was actually looking at this fight last week and I missed the odds, man. Minus 238 for Kyler Phillips. I missed the boat on that. And then next thing you know, I was gonna bet him last night on before football, but the next thing you know, I got into early football and wasn't able to really lock in on the bet. So I think it's a good spot for Kyler Phillips, man. I think he has the speed advantage, and I think he also has the youth advantage, of course. He has the wrestling to go to it. We've seen Corey Sandhagen, not really that great of a wrestler, hold Rob Font for almost 5 rounds. So I think Kyler Phillips is good everywhere in this spot, man. He's just a rising Phillips versus a downward spiral Rob Font. You know, Rob Font, before that fight, I think before the Davison Figueiredo fight for his first fight up in this weight class, knocked down Rob Font twice in his fight. So I'm just not too high on his durability. I'm not too high on his speed. And I just think Kyler Phillips is on the up and up. We've seen him have a nice speed advantage against Pedro Munoz, a guy who usually has a speed advantage against a lot of people. And I just think it's a good spot for him, man. I think this is just one of those types of fights that you see Kyler Phillips rise up the rankings and Rob Font just slowly but surely keep going down, keep giving them these high ranking prospects up and up. Like we might even see Rob Font be given to a guy like Peyton Talbot if he loses this fight, somebody that if you get a win, it's respectable.
That would be an interesting matchup. I honestly be afraid for Font in that one. Talbot's a dog, but yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. He's a good boxer, but this is mixed martial arts, right? And he beat Adrian Yanez in impressive fashion as a big underdog, but Yanez is just a pure boxer too, right? So you get a guy like Phillips who's throwing every strike in the book at you from every angle, constantly moving. It's a tough matchup. So I like Mr. Plus's first two legs. Now we're into the main event of the evening. He's going dog, Michel Pereira. Look, we had Money Moicano cash as a main event dog. We had Brandon Royval cash as a main event dog. Slick, do we get 3 in a row here with Demolidor Michel Pereira at middleweight, like Mr. Plus said, has looked much better than at welterweight? Before you go in, I have one question for you because we know his striking prowess, his explosivity. Is that a word? I think it is. His knees, right? And against a grappler like Hernandez, you're going to look for those knees, those up the middle shots. I just remember Michel Pereira getting out-grappled by Tristan Connolly way back in the day at welterweight, to be fair. But, is there a world where Hernandez drowns him with the grappling, or do you think Pereira can hurt him and fend him off?
Yeah, I mean, Pereira definitely going to have to come into this fight thinking no knees, no, nothing that could really get the fight down to the ground because Fluffy has shown great control on the ground. He hunts submissions like there's no tomorrow. Like you're not safe at all on the ground. So I'm a lean Pereira, and I'm going to hope that he just goes to the side that I'm going to just stuff these takedowns and keep the fight on the feet. And that's where we see Hernandez have a liability at. Even in that fight against Kopylov, he got the sub in that fight, but whenever the fight was on the feet, whatever Kopylov was able to land was able to hurt Hernandez. Like he was reacting wrong, flinching, for every little feint that Kopylov was throwing, and he was just hoping and praying he got the fight down to the ground. So if Pereira just comes out here just want to stuff takedowns, have his mindset, not trying to play these games, I just think it's a real dangerous Pereira because, he was cutting close to almost 30 pounds going down to 170. That was a huge weight cut. Now he's not having to cut much weight. I'm hearing he only has to cut 10 to 15 in weight on fight week. So he's keeping to his diet. I just think this is a Pereira that we have been waiting to see, a guy that has been able to just put the finishing prowls on, and just attack whenever he gets a guy hurt. And we've seen that in the last 2 fights. Olasechek, he hurt him, went right on him, finished the fight in the rear naked choke. I'm not here for that ground and pound. I'm choking you out within the first minute. Same thing with Petroski, man. Landed that clean body shot, knocked Petroski down. And for all we know, Petroski could get subbed by people, but that's one thing to do is knock out a guy like Petroski. So I think it's a good spot for Pereira, man. I think Pereira could definitely, as long as he comes in here with the takedown stuff and mindset, I think he keeps it on the feet and just probably knocks out Hernandez.
Ooh, you like the knockout. Mr. Plus, you going to bet the knockout too? Hernandez got a chin on him.
I might sprinkle on the knockout too. I like the plus money, and I like it to end the parlay. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see.
It looks like that line's on the move too, y'all. I mean, I saw plus 130, now down to plus 110. So if you like it, grab it now. Normally you want to wait for the dogs. Maybe the market bet's the favorite, but not in this
This is a
case right
public
now.
dog. Yeah, this is a big public dog, so we do want to jump on it while we got the good lines.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a really good. I mean, look at like I said, Moicano, Royval, right? Two very popular fighters that kicked ass, right? They looked really good. So I think Pereira could make it a third main event dog in a row. I like it very much, and that's a plus 320 Mr. Plus parlay bus. Hopefully, we're cashing that one. We like all the legs. All right, let's move on to the next segment, y'all, and that's going to be the Slick Report. We got an underdog to talk about on this one. An underdog that cashed for me last time around. Let's see it do one more time for Slick. Who do you got here?
Yeah, check this. He's the master of the breakdown. A slick moves. That's made Kappa. Philly's finance he improved.
I'm going with the British guy, Jake Hadley, man. I think this is a good spot for him. Plus 125. You get him on some books. And for me, this is just the perfect recipe for a guy because he's basically fought this guy in his last fight. A relentless wrestler, a not-so-good striker, and a guy that has a good gas tank that will last all 3 rounds. And that was Colin Loughran. You know, Colin Loughran went 1 of 8 for takedowns, threw out almost 60 punches. And I just think there's a huge difference between Jake Hadley and all the guys that Brady Heastand was able to get wins off of. And that's 1, cardio, 2, good boxing, and 3, defensive grappling that not a lot of those guys had. You know, Jake Hadley, whenever he is on his back, he's putting out huge amount of numbers, throwing elbows, trying to throw up triangles, trying to throw up arm bars to get back on the feet. And his last fight, he didn't even play that. He said, nah, I'm stuffing all of these takedowns, keeping the fight on the feet where I'm way better than this guy. And I just think he does the same thing this fight. Brady Heastand arguably gets knocked down or hurt every single one of his fights, and he's able to withstand the punishment and is able to get the fight in his terms. So I think this is a good spot for our guy Jake Hadley to just keep on the up and up, you know, at 135. So I think this is a good spot for him, man. I think this is a good spot.
Jake Hadley looking to cash as a dog again, and I like it, man. That's exactly why I like it, because Keelan Loughran profile is pretty similar to a guy that he's facing here in Brady Heastand. Malachi enters, which is always a good luck charm. What up, my guy Malachi, who Slick said he's sending to Dagestan to start his training very soon. So we look forward to Malachi's dominant wrestling. But, you know, Jake Hadley, the jiu-jitsu player, decided, like Slick said, to keep it on the feet, southpaw stance, using that jab, piecing up Keelan Loughran. Straight left hand was there, stuffing takedowns, landing his own knees with the front headlock, against the cage. And Brady Heastand, I think, and between Callum Loughran and Brady Heastand, is that Heastand is even more relentless, right? I mean, his recoverability is his best ability. When he gets hurt, you think you've got him, you go for the finish, and then he turns the tables on you, which would happen in the Dana Batgari fight. Batgari almost had him out of there, right? Armfield almost had him out of there. I don't know if you can continue sustaining a run like that, where you get hurt and your way is, right when someone thinks they got you out of there, that you turn it on them. Like, it's a dicey proposition to do fight to fight. So Heastand, very good wrestler, Mr. Plus, but I think he may struggle with Hadley's boxing in this one if you can't take him down. What do you think about Hadley as a dog?
I'm kind of on the other side on this one, only because I did think the Armfield victory was pretty impressive, and I was on the wrong side of that one. And then Hadley, to me, I mean, I think he's a little one-dimensional with that boxing. And although he stuffed the Loughran takedowns and he looked good in that fight, that wasn't that a split, or it was weird. It might have been unanimous, but I thought it was weird. And Loughran has no hands whatsoever. Let's be honest. That dude doesn't know how to fight at all. He needs to go to boxing school for sure. All he knows how to do is wrestle. He's a straight wrestler, collegiate wrestler, great wrestler, but couldn't even do what he had to do against Hadley, which is take him down. So give Hadley his props, but I'm kind of leaning Heaston on this one, just based on that Armfield victory. I thought it was pretty impressive. We can't be on the same side every single fight.
I like a dissenting opinion. You got to have other takes. And I get it. He stands relentless, dude. And I agree. Loughran was as stiff as a board. I was watching that fight. I got Hadley plus 185 in last one. I'm like, oh my God, the guy's just not even moving. I win. He's not doing anything. Like, he just stood in front, just waiting around.
As you and Slick would say, he was blocking shots with his face.
Right. The OG Yuri Prochazka, right? Come on. Let's go. Come on. All right, so we like Jake Hadley. Mr. Plus giving a case for maybe the relentless guy, who's been able to sustain damage and come back. So it should be an interesting fight. That's one to take note of on this fairly weak card. I like that one. All right, y'all. It's time for the Brasco breakdown.
Brasco's breakdown.
And the fellas aren't going to like this one at all because on this fight card, we have 3 back-to-back female fights, none of which are inspiring too much hype. And I'm going to bet on one. In fact, I'm going to bet on 2 of them. And Mr. Plus said, you know what? I'm going to be making a beer run, fixing myself a cocktail. Slick said, you know what? I might fire up the PS5 for these fights. No! I'm forcing you to watch Alice, I couldn't even say her name, Alice Ardelean, plus 130 to get the win here in this matchup against Melissa Martinez. Who? Exactly. Melissa Martinez has fought absolutely nobody. And fair enough, you could say, who has Alice Ardelean fought? Actually, Weili Zhang. Yeah, she shared the cage with Weili Zhang. And she got some hype for her for her OnlyFans, where she's popping her booty, get some Instagram followers. But hey, if you want to make the prelims, if you want to make the UFC, get your social media up, get your fight skills up, get your whole hype up, and maybe there's a commodity to back here in Alice Ardelean, who's not just an OnlyFans. She showed she's got some grappling, man. She took it to Shauna Bannon in her debut. Shauna Bannon, not all that, but she's a decent point fighter, decent kickboxer coming out of SBG Ireland, Conor McGregor's camp, right? I thought she could have gotten the nod in that fight. I mean, it was pretty close. She took Bannon down a number of times, and she just showed kind of a relentlessness to her. Melissa Martinez does not have good grappling defense. She hasn't fought in 2 years, and I just don't think she's going to be up to the test for a girl who's been active. That fight against Bannon happened at the end of July. She's ready to go. She's back in shape. And Martinez has taken this one on short notice. So now flip the tables, because last fight, Ardelean took hers on short notice and actually might have had a better gas tank anyway than Bannon. So I just think she makes it ugly here. She drags Martinez, who's got solid kickboxing, decent movement. She's got some skill, of course, but make it ugly. Get in her face. Crowd the kicker. And I think Ardelean grinds this one out and proves that she's going to stay here. She's worth being in the UFC. All right, guys, I'm forcing you to watch the fight. Mr. Plus, give me a take if you have one.
You can't force me to watch this fight, but I'm going to go dog or pass, so I'm on your side. I like the plus money. I hate the short notice with the 2-year layoff. That stuff for me just says fade all over it. And I agree with you. She hasn't fought anybody, the Martinez. So, yeah, I'm going to lean your Alice Ardelean side, plus 130. Very short take here. We'll probably be taking a whiskey break. Might not watch it, but I'm on your side.
Cheers to that. Slick, what side are you on this one?
I'm on the Hennessy with the ice and the cup side because I probably won't be watching this fight. You're welcome. And I'm just not. I really don't have no take on this fight. Alice Ardelean lost to Shanna Bannon, who I thought probably was not UFC caliber. Melissa Martinez is probably one of the worst prospects at 7-1 I have ever seen. I'm just not trusting this fight. Maybe, like I was telling the guys earlier, parlay all 3 overs and just don't watch none of these girl fights.
I'm watching.
Brasco's Regional Breakdown brought to you by Hennessy.
Our sponsor. Yo, Hennessy, call us. We give you so much free promo. It's crazy. Alice Ardelean, plus 130. Line's on the move, plus 124. I beat it by 6 cents already. Fight of the year. All right, next fight. It's time for the dogs of the week. Let them out. And we got several that we already talked. Two. Several's more than 2. That's not how that works. Mr. Huss, let's rehash the main event. Your dog of the week is Michel Pereira.
Yup, main event. Don't get me wrong. There's some UFC buffs out there that are going to have Fluffy as the last leg of their parlay, and I think they get busted. Although, bet it now. He's a popular dog. The line is going to move. But I'm taking Michel Pereira. I already got one betted on him with the bus, and I'm going to take him straight up as well. And I don't know if I'm going to lean knockout or not yet. I gotta watch some more tape study on Fluffy because he's got a chin on him.
He's got a chin on him, but he has gotten hurt to the body. As they say, you get punched in the face, you want revenge. You get punched in the body, you want to go home. Maybe he can hurt him with a knee to the body or something, maybe crumble him a little bit. Slick, what do you think about that?
That's mostly all where Hernandez KOs come from the body.
And there you have it. Short and sweet. Slick, who's your dog of the week? Is it Jake Hadley?
I was going to go Jake Hadley. But we're going to go with the damage. Darren Elkins over Daniel Pineda, plus 105. I'm not even going to have no huge take on this for the simple fact that we are fading Pineda. We just know that one guy wants to keep on going with his career, and the other guy has just looked like he wants to get out of there after a minute in the UFC cage. So I like Darren Elkins, even though Pineda did make us sweat a little bit against Nathaniel Wood, but on the other side, that was more Daniel Wood fault, and Daniel Wood has less defensive grappling than Darren Elkins. We've seen Darren Elkins reverse people. We've seen Darren Elkins get chokes of himself. So I think it's a good spot for the damage. And like I said, if it goes 1-1, I know one guy is going to want to be there and the other guy is going to be out. So give me the damage, Darren Elkins.
Absolutely love that you brought up this fight. It's my favorite fight on the card, honestly. Like Darren Elkins versus Daniel Pineda, put it in the WWF tables, ladders, and chairs match. Mick Foley and the Hardy Boys. Like, this is just an all-out war right here between two crazy styles of fighters. I was going to say, you got to give Pineda some credit for that close loss against Nathaniel Wood, but agreed. It was much Nathaniel Wood just being a bozo as it was Pineda almost turning the tides on him. Mr. Plus, I like the Elkins side. I agree. I think he's going to outdog him in this one. Who do you think takes it?
I fucking love the plus money on this one, boys. Give me the damage. I love that Slick brought up his nickname. Yo, this dude is a fucking animal. He's a guy you wouldn't want to fight ever at a bar. He will fuck you up. It is not fun. And then Pineda, this is another fade spot for us. Yeah, he made us sweat versus Nathaniel Wood, but we still got the dub. And it's just a fade spot for him. Like Slick said, I don't think he wants to be there anymore. And I agree with you. He can win around. He always starts strong. He looks like a fucking statue. I mean, the dude is chiseled. But yeah, Elkins is a junkyard dog, relentless, the reverses. You take him down, he gets back up. And like this dude, yeah, he'll block some shots with his face. He shows a lot of damage. He wears it well. And Elkins is a guy that'll take you 3 rounds of bloody. So I'm excited for this one. Fight of the night, perhaps.
I agree, man. And if you're worried about, Pineda's got slick submissions, maybe you can get him. Elkins has been submitted once in his career. It was in 2010. Charles Oliveira. Okay, I'm going to forgive that. It was an armbar.
One little note with Elkins there, guys. Coming out of Team Alpha Male, he actually even showed a huge wrinkle of his wrestling in his last fight. I was over on the takedowns last fight. He has solid wrestling. Team Alpha Male has solid game plans. If he needs to, that's an extra thing that's going to give you value on the dog in the wrestling. If he wants to take it there and start working that, I'm not even as worried about the submissions. He can dominate and pretty much run this with a little bit of volume and 3 takedowns and win a decision as well, too.
Totally agree. I think he can wear out Daniel Pineda. I think he can choke him out. He rinsed TJ Brown. I loved Elkins in that spot. And what is he, 39? 40 years old. And he looks 40 years young. Mr. Plus, totally right. You get into a fight with that kind of guy at the bar. Yeah, maybe you can crack him with a couple shots, right? His defense isn't all there. You're like, what'd you say about my girl? Ping, pang, pong. You're like, yeah, I fucked him. And then he's like, did a mosquito just land on me? Like, he's one of the guys that doesn't feel pain. You don't want to fight a guy like that. Just no winning. There's no stopping him. Here comes the damage.
He's the type to crack a bottle over his head before fighting.
Exactly. What'd you just say? Bang! Hurt yourself. Like, what? Why is that a strategy? That's like in the movie. It's pure intimidation. It's an I don't feel pain thing. That's a great characterization of Darren the Damage Elkins. Man, I'm fired up. Bring out the ladders. All right. Who's my dog of the week? I'm going to take a shot, half unit, sprinky, on Mateus Nicolau, plus 160. I'm a little scared, guys. He's coming off a 2-fight losing streak, both in which he got pretty brutally knocked out. First by a Brandon Royval knee, click, sleep. Then Alex Perez mauled him, and he went to sleep again with the right hand. So I'm just worried about his chin. But he's taken on Asu Almabayev, who's a pretty pure wrestler. And Mateus Nicolau has good takedown defense. He's got really good lateral movement. He's better than his 2 losses, I think. I mean, he has some really good UFC wins. So I'm just feeling like maybe the line is a little wide, and maybe the stylistic matchup can favor him if he can stay on the feet and be the faster, twitchier, sharper guy moving around the cage and landing his shots and when he picks his spots. So if he stays off the mat, I'm thinking he could get it done. Mr. Plus, would you trust the chin of Nicolau to win here?
I mean, it's not worth a bet for me, so I'm not going to be betting on this. But if I had to pick, I am going dog or pass. I I like when we're on the same side. I like, again, Slick and I were on a lot of the same last week. I know we ain't gonna be on the same one on this fight, but yeah, no, I do like Matouch to get this done. His last two losses have not looked good. He got knocked out in both of them. But you could say he's fought way better competition, bro. Ode Osborne is like a fucking trash can. Yeah, I just don't respect the Asu Amabayev's wins, or Abu, however you say his name. I'm not saying I don't respect him. He's little, he's good, he's got great grappling. I'm not behind him yet, and I think this is gonna be a level up for him. Maybe he takes his first UFC L.
It does feel like a level up. Now, he's rolling in the UFC. Like you said, Uday Osborne rear naked choke. Osborne, not great grappling defense. CJ Vergara decision. Vergara's tough, but not the best guy. Jose Johnson, unanimous. I'd give him credit for that win. Johnson's a pretty good fighter. Johnson, he had him in full mount a couple times in that fight, but Almabayev's grappling one out. Slick, your guy Royval slept him cold. So I know you don't think too highly of Nicolau. Would you trust his chin here?
I mean, I'm not gonna say that his chin is all the way gone because, like you said, like those two guys landing KOs. My only concern is just his reactions to the punches coming into this fight. You know, like when you get slept like that twice into the, like, a lot of times you're gonna go into the fight worrying about it, thinking about it. You know, hopefully the other guy doesn't hit you good enough, and then next thing you know, you really start thinking about it. So I'm not gonna sit here and say Asu is a great striker in that sense. You know, he's not really that good in the striking edge. He tries to throw winging punches to get his takedowns. So I'm a lean on Mubayo. I'm not betting him at nothing. I just like the over in this spot. I think a lot of people might lean that Nicolau might get hurt and maybe lean the under in this spot. You know, a lot of people are going to look at the wrestling. And I just think that if Nicolau just played, we haven't really seen Nicolau on his back, you know. Like, the only time that he really stuffed takedowns was in, I believe it was his second or third fight in the UFC when he fought Tim Elliott. Tim Elliott went 1 for 10 in that fight. So that's why his takedown defense is a little bit inflated, you know, hasn't really fought the type of guys that's really going to shoot takedowns on him. So I'm gonna just go with Asu as a pick. As a pick, but I'm gonna bet the over in this spot. Hopefully, like I said, the no distance is a little bit inflated. I think a lot of people are gonna look at the KOs and just think automatically under. So I think it's a good over spot.
That's interesting.
My dog has been barking during your whole Nicolau breakdown, just to let you know. He hasn't stopped barking since you mentioned the name Nicolau.
That's great vibes. Wow. Cal coming through with the signs, right? The signs. Shout out Jersey Jerry. Maybe the dog barks here, but good points. Like, I was touting the 90% takedown defense of Nicolau. It's 1 for 10 against Tim Elliott. There's your whole statistic. So I like that. Even so, I rate that. Elliott's damn good veteran grappler, but good point on why statistics are what they are. Always good, right? People be saying stuff like, oh, his striking defense is that. Well, in what context? Against what, right? Against which fighter who went 1 of 40 for takedowns, right? So always good to bring up the context of a UFC stat. All right, on to the Darce Parlay. Let's lace this one up, my boys. And let's start it off with Mr. Plus's leg. This is a fighter that I really like, a prospect on the come up. And I'm hoping he can get another win here for us and for his own UFC career. I want to see him shine. Who do you got, bro?
Not in love with the line, but that's why we threw him in this parlay, because we do believe that he's going to get the job done. Talking about the young gangster, Gene Matsumoto. And he's fighting a fade machine for me. You guys know, I think this is one of the most boring fighters in the UFC. Puts out weird volume. I'm not a lot of it, but not too little either. But he's just boring. He wants to wrestle you, and that's Brad Katona. Man, this guy has 4 different accents when he was on the show. What was it, the Tough House, or was it Ultimate Fighter? This guy just. Where he had an English accent, and he's a white boy, and then when he joins up on Conor McGregor's team, he all of a sudden turns into an Irishman. I can't get with
Ireland can have him.
I will never be behind this guy, Brad Katona. I think his UFC career is going to be short-lived. I don't see him here for much longer. I think Gene Matsumoto is better everywhere. He's going to even be a stronger human in the octagon. This kid is only 25, but he has speed, and his stand-up game is gangster. And I like him, man. He's got a chin on him, too. We've seen him get touched and definitely rise to the occasion. So give me Gene Matsumoto for the first leg. Let's do this.
I like it, man. Brad Katona with the crazy wide eyeballs and the ever-changing code-switching accents. Always funny stuff, man. Very, very interesting character. All that being said, he seems like a pretty nice guy. He was kind of cocky and arrogant in the Tough House, but you living and sleeping with guys you're going to fight with, I'm going to try to get a mental edge on you. So I'll probably be a dick to everybody. I don't knock him for that. In any case, his style hasn't been all that exciting, right? He's a wrestler, boxer, a cardio king who's just kind of trying to put the pressure on you, but he's not knocking anybody out. He's not really stringing together nasty combos and cracking people, right? He's just kind of standing in your face with the pressure, rinsing and repeating takedowns and trying to outwork you. So like Mr. Plus said, I think Gene Matsumoto, Slick, can hang with that. I think he won't get outworked. I think he could defend takedowns, outstrike him on the feet, be the cleaner guy. And we see he's got a nasty guillotine. He choked out Dan Argueta, choked out a guy 2 fights before that in the LFA with his guillotine. Don't shoot sloppy on Gene because he'll make you pay for it. So I like this kid a good deal. And like Mr. Plus said, I do think the line is a little wide. What do you think, Slick? Is he still worth a bet at like minus 250 range?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's going to be the guy that put out the more damage in this fight. I think he's going to be having the more sub attempts. You know, this is a guy that doesn't just lay flat on his back. He's always trying to get up, always throwing up submissions to get back on the feet. And the one concern about Brad Katona is just like there's differences, like basically Clayton Carpenter last weekend. When you get a guy in full guard and I'm elbowing you to death, you know, like Brad Katona didn't do legit none of that against a guy in Jesse Butler who actually came down 2 weight classes to that weight class to fight him on short notice, and he still was not able to get him out of there. Like the guy, I just think that he's just able to win against guys that don't have no wrestling defense. Who's he able to lay down on? But Matsumoto is just not going to be that guy, man. He's going to be one thing I love about this guy is that he attacks subs and he could attack on rounds 1, 2, or 3. You know, like this is a guy, good cardio, man. I just see Brad Katona probably having some wrestling moments, but like we always say, damage over control. So I'm definitely going to lean Gene Matsumoto in that spot.
And this is a spot where you gotta score that because you're not allowed to lay on 6 people in a row. You know what I mean? Like eventually it's okay. Yeah, I'm not scoring that anymore. Jesse Butler, like you said, like to say I bet on Katona knockout because I thought, you know what? If this guy wants any fans, if he wants any stock in the UFC at all, in his second run after 2 Ultimate Fighter appearances, you got to put somebody away. This guy coming down 2, you got to outwork him. I thought he was going to ground and pound him. He still couldn't do it. No, we're fading that. Gene Matsumoto.
He don't know who his fans are. He don't know if they're white people or Irish people or British people. He don't even know his fans.
Identity crisis. Slick.
I think by white he means Canadian. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, you guys can have him. Ireland can have him.
Sure, Canadian. Is that what he was saying? He was Canadian. Then he was
Canadian.
Irish.
He is Canadian.
You're Canadian?
Yeah. He just unfortunately, talks the way he talks.
Identity crisis is crazy.
Hey man,
they can have him.
He's a multicultural man, or yeah, Cal's now revoking his Canadian citizenship. So there you have it. Gene Matsumoto, first leg. Slick, who are you going with? Second leg.
Yeah, man, this guy definitely let a lot of people down last fight. Real disappointing. But now the UFC has did us a favor and they gave us the best fade spot on the card. We're going with our guy, Robelis de Spain. Man, I don't need to say much about this. I literally just said what I was going to say. Huge fade spot for Austin Lane. He's already starting to get into the Greg Hardy UFC accomplishments, you know. He looks good for 1 second, then the next second, it's all over. Like this guy, I just don't know what's this guy good at. He tried to come out last fight looking like a huge wrestler. Did nothing. He got full mount, wasn't able to do nothing. Like this guy, Austin Lane is just fade spot for me. Robelis de Spain might knock him out within the first minute. So Robelis de Spain, money line.
Robelis, the knockout monster. Can he get back on track? What a disappointment, like you said. Facing Waldo Cortez Acosta, another boxer. Perfect, right? He's going to sleep him. The power, immediately menacing presence, just ripping nasty shots, any one of which could put you cold to sleep. And what does Waldo do? He wrestles him. Hey, man, credit to Waldo. He had the skills. He had the ability to execute a game plan and expose Robelis' lack of MMA skill and complete game. So now they give him the former NFL safety, Austin Lane. Slick reference, Greg Hardy. If you played football and then you go into the UFC, it doesn't always go well. Maybe Matthew Simmelsberger, I think he was a safety too. He's done okay. But most former NFL players just don't have it. They have the ability to explode and throw big shots, right? But after that, kind of goes away. Austin Lane did go ahead and take down Janata Deniz in his last fight, Mr. Plus, and he looked to execute a wrestling game plan. He put the kickboxer on his back. Round 2 started, nothing left. Deniz knocked him out. So I think Robellis can get it done too. He's a huge favorite, Mr. Plus. Robellis, round 1 knockout.
You got to think Robellis has been fucking working on his get-up game, right? Come on. It's been this much time since Where's Waldo laid on him for 3 rounds. We all had the other side. I know I did. I hated that fight. It was boring, and it wasn't what you expected because, like, we thought Where's Waldo was going to actually fight, stand up, but nope, we didn't see it. We didn't get to see that big Despain moment we were looking for. Here, I think we're going to get it. Everyone's saying Austin Lane might try to take him down. And like we saw in the last fight, he'll do it for a round, and then the next round he'll get slept. So that could be the only way that I see this going past the first. If they could keep it on the feet, yeah, Despain one punch knockout. I don't know how Austin Lane is still in the UFC, to be completely honest.
Yeah, this is like a situation where one commodity is not one that the promotion needs, and the other is like, we would really like to have this amazing KO artist shine for the fans again, right? So he's minus 455 after getting out grappled for a reason. I don't think it happens 2 times in a row. That's the second leg. Slicks on Robellis Despain. And I'm going to do it again to the fellas. I'm such a jerk today, man. I'm the worst. They were like, just go back to Italy, Brasco. We don't need you. I'm making them watch and bet on Jocelyn Edwards. That's right. Jocelyn Slick's head goes.
Go back and eat some gnocchi, bro. Go back and eat some gnocchi and take your Edwards and kick rocks, bro.
Cal, I got to fade Tamiris Vidal. Tamiris Vidal coming off a punch to the breast knockout. Melissa Gatto looks like she was like a body jab, and then, please stop. She asked for a break in the action, and then what ref was it? Was it Kerry Hatley? I don't even remember. Stop the fight! What happened in that one? So strange. And to me, I just don't think she's very good. I'm not rating Jocelyn Edwards so highly, but she's on a 2-fight losing streak, Jocelyn Edwards is, and she's the minus 250 favorite. I think the line says everything you need to know about it. She was competitive with Eileen Perez, who was way bigger, way more physical than her. She almost defended a bunch of her grappling advances. Like, she made it a decent fight. Again, I'm not rating fighting Eileen Perez competitively like a great asterisk for you, but I think it goes to show that she could have the grappling advantage here against Vidal, who has really just winging punches, and that's about it. Like, she knocked out Ramona Pascual at 145, a division that is extinct like the dinosaurs. And Ramona Pascual, like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? That's it. I think she's going to get that win, and I don't think Tamiris Vidal will have any more wins in the UFC. I think Edwards is better everywhere in mixed martial arts. I think she's trained at higher level, and that'll show here. So give me Edwards' unanimous decision, and give me Slick and Mr. Plus to be drinking a Hennessy while that fight goes down. Do we have any take at all from Slick?
This is just that fight that when Brasco told us that he was putting in the darts parlay, it's like when your mom gave you clothes when you were younger and you was like, thanks, Mom. You know, I love it. And then you go upstairs and you put the clothes away and just go back to playing your game. This is the perfect thing. Like, I'm going to just bet this parlay, of course, because we always bet the dark. I'm going to just place it. Jocelyn Edwards, I believe, is the 3rd or 4th fight. So once Robellis Despain fight is off, straight turn on my PS5, and I'm going to just wait on my phone for a Brasco update on his story to see if our bet won. So after that, I'll go back to watching the fights. But yeah, thanks, Brasco.
I'm crying, bro. That was amazing. That's exactly. Oh, Socks! I love you too. Oh, man. Oh, Mr. Plus, what do you think?
The silver lining is the Darce could be cashed 5 fights in, just so that's the silver lining. Golly, I definitely lean your way. Anyone who gets knocked out by Titty Punch is definitely, fuck that. You keep fighting. What are you talking about? Body shot. Listen, I guess that Jocelyn Edwards is more well-rounded. I think she's going to be faster on the feet, and I think the line is accurate. And I do see her getting the victory for us, so I'm really not too worried about it. However, I mean, like Slick said in the beginning, you can bet these all to go over. This is one that's definitely going over into the end. We've seen the judges. We've seen what the judges do. So I mean, let's all be a little careful. I am gonna, of course, bet it and blame Brasco if this leg doesn't hit. But of course, I'm betting it, and I'm behind you. I gotta be on the same side. I think there's no way I'd ever bet on Vidal ever.
No, Cal, please chime in.
My question is, can we find a book that has KO to the chest assist? Because if we do, Gato actually said she targeted the chest from things that she saw in training, partly because of the wide out punches, so she could control her with the punches to the chest, but then also that she reacted bad to them. So that was actually a target. So man, if I'm Edwards, I'm punching this girl right in the chest all game, all the whole time, and trying to put her out that way. So if we can find a book, I know it's not there, but that would be pretty funny if there was.
Dude, what? That's insane.
Seems like a cheap shot too, right? It's like if I could kick him in the nuts, I would.
I wonder if BetMGM or one of those sites offers. You know how they be like win by punches, win by knees, and be like win by titty punch.
Dude, like you're right. Why wouldn't I mean? I was thinking the same thing. Why don't more women target that? Like you said, if it's legal, I mean that must suck.
It's probably a respect thing.
For sure, it would be kind of weird if you're like straight up like you're like tracking her down and you're like right hook to the titty. It'd be a little wild. You know, it's a boxing thing. Like you know, you can't find the chin. You can't find the chin. Punch to the chest. You know, that's like literally a target that your coach will tell you. You know, punch to the chest, and the chin will be there when he drops. So I had no idea that Melissa Gatto specifically targeted it. So maybe Jocelyn Edwards heard that and is doing the same. Yeah, we're fading that. We're fading that. I don't care how much you dislike it. We're going Jocelyn Edwards. That Darce parlay plus 138. Not the craziest odds we've ever had, but feels solid, right? Matsumoto, Robeles de Spain, Jocelyn Edwards, and hopefully we cash early in onto the card, like Mr. Plus said. All right, guys, the honorable mentions time. Let's talk about the fights we haven't talked about yet. Only one to discuss. We brought up every single damn near fight. And that's a fight that I care even less about than Jocelyn Edwards versus Tamiris Vidal. Even less about than Melissa Martinez versus Alice Ardalian. And that's Elise Reed versus Jessica Penne. Slick's face tells you everything. I don't think he wants to talk right now. If he could pass, he would. But I'm going to force him to speak on it. Give me analysis on this fight if your life depended on it.
Babe, pass me the Henny real quick before I talk about this fight. Now, I mean, if you really good take, I would say maybe lean Elise Reed. She has shown good striking, you know, porous takedown defense. Jessica Penne doesn't have the best wrestling, so maybe Elise Reed keeps this on the feet. But other than that, Elise Reed by decision.
Yawn. Mr. Plus, how does this fight play out?
They both fought good competition, but Penne's age is what scares me. 41 versus 31-year-old Elise Reed. I'll be honest with you, neither of these girls have ever made me money. I can never figure them out. When I bet against them, I lose. When I bet with them, you know what I mean. But I will be taking a shot potentially on Elise Reed, the favorite. I don't like the age difference here, and if we're going worse, who's worse? Yeah, I think Jessica Penne can lose for us. Elise Reed gets a decision.
I think Reed being the favorite speaks volumes because I think she stinks. Like she's got the karate background, but like I don't think she's a very good striker. She's never balanced. She's never like. And Slick mentioned her grappling defense, takedown defense stinks too. Loopy rinsed her. Loopy's pretty good. But Loopy rinsed her bad. Penne is a good grappler, but Slick said it. She's not a good wrestler. Like she needs a scramble. She needs a moment to get the grappling. She's not going to go hunt double legs. So I could see Penne maybe submitting her and giving her the veterans grappling lesson, but I ain't betting on that. Cal?
Actually, Brasco, that's actually a decent double chance. If you went Elise Reed by decision and Penne by submission, you may get some decent value because I think that's the only way Penne wins this is if it's by submission. There's no other way, unless there's like just crazy judges because she's low volume and sort of trash.
Yeah, and 41, like Mr. Plus said. So that fight stinks.
And I'm not talking about her OnlyFans.
Hey. All right. We've gotten through the UFC Fight Night Pereira versus Hernandez card, guys. Hope you enjoyed all those picks, breakdowns, parlays, selections. But there's one more fight to talk about, and it's in the PFL. That's right. This weekend, we've got Francis, the Predator Ngannou, taking on Henan, the La Problema Pereira. Excellent heavyweight banger in the PFL. Wow. Two monsters collide. Colossal power on both sides. We know what Francis can do. We know what Francis has been through, man. Losing his son and coming back after that tragedy. I mean, your heart's got to be heavy for him. And the human being in me is rooting for his success, whatever it is in life, in this fight. I want to see Francis do well. He seems like a great guy. We saw him do his thing in boxing, almost upset the world, beating Tyson Fury nearly. And then immediately, wait, Ngannou ain't no boxer. Anthony Joshua sparks him. Then Renan Ferreira. Slick, he's been knocking out every person that he comes across in the PFL. His right hand is horrifying. He's fast. His in and out movement is nice. He's calculated. Man, he's plus 270. Francis Ngannou is plus 245. Francis Ngannou is minus 370. The line feels wide, no? Tell me that Renan Ferreira might be worth a dog shot because I'm feeling it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be betting on Hernandez Pereira, man. I've been betting on this guy his whole career. Like, I've been saying that if this is the guy that they want to fight Francis, like he's freaking 6'9". He's even taller than Francis. You know, like this is a guy that wherever this fight goes, man, he's just dangerous. Like he only lost to a guy and I forgot his name. I think it was Ante Dilliaja who out wrestled him for almost 3 rounds, like just holding him down and just getting I believe he got KO if I'm not mistaken, like a ground and pound KO. But other than that, man, Renan Ferreira is just a monster, man. He has the speed, he has the activity. Also, like this guy has been fighting, like I think he fought like 5-6 times in the last 2 years. And I'm gonna keep betting on this guy, man. If he wins against Francis, this guy is destined for great things, man. And hey, man, give me Renan Ferreira at that price tag.
Huge dog tag right now. Mateus Scheffel knockout, Maurice Green knockout, Dennis Goltsov knockout, Ryan Bader knockout. Mr. Plus, is Ferreira keeping it rolling as a dog here?
Yeah, man, I don't like the minus 370 on the Ngannou side after we saw him get rinsed by Anthony Joshua. Really just goes to show you, though, if it's not in your sport, you know, MMA versus boxing, I mean, they're light years ahead. Anthony Joshua picked him apart. It wasn't even close and then knocked him out. So, yeah, I think I made a reel that day on how to lose $1,000 in 3 minutes. You know, taking the dog shot, or I think it might have even been a favorite. I don't even remember on Ngannou. I wanted Ngannou to win because I'm an MMA fan, but Anthony Joshua showed us hands, and you know who else has hands and a way bigger reach? Renan Ferreira. And this guy, since his loss, has been getting progressively better and better and better and better. You don't really see that much with the heavyweight division. I mean, I guess we've seen it with like Tom Aspinall, who gets better every fight, right? But he's another one in the PFL, Renan Ferreira, that just got better after his loss and better and better and beating the best guys. Beating Goltsov's huge to me. Because I love the PFL. I watch it all the time. Beating Goltsov is enormous. I think Goltsov could put up a fight against Ngannou real good. And I think the line might even be different if those two are fighting. So I don't know. I am going to take a dog shot at the plus money. But you know, the books are usually never this wrong. So we'll have to see. And if Ngannou gets in close, we already know his power, man. He's supposedly got the hardest punch of humans. You know, this dude can fucking hit you hard. So at any moment he could hit you and it's lights out. But yeah, Renan Ferreira keeping distance. Maybe bro, he's the only heavyweight I've seen. Well, besides I guess Derek Lewis that one time throw a flying knee and it really connect, bro. So this dude can jump knee you in the face. At 6'9" is incredible. So much power, so much explosiveness in that guy. And he didn't win the $1 million last year for no reason. So, yeah, I got to take a dog shot.
I'm with you guys, man. Cal, what do you think about it?
I was just going to say this is sort of a perfect situation to set up for a PFL parlay hedge. You know, do a 3-piece PFL parlay. Because Ngannou could get to the wrestling in this fight and sort of turn it into that realm and like flip everybody on their head from the boxing element and go right to the wrestling. But same time, way too much value. Line's way too wide. So I think this is a great little 3-piece parlay setup with a hedge for Ferreira as a big plus money dog.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Ngannou spend some time boxing, get back in the octagon, shoot the double leg right first round, right away. And maybe that's the strategy. I mean, you kind of want to put the La Problema on his back, right? But Ferreira's got grappling defense, right?
Yeah, definitely. He throws up submissions. He definitely doesn't. Like, it took Ante Dilia to really get him real tired for him to really just lay on him and stuff like that. But I just want to say real quick, like, this might be the first MMA fight where we see the fight to not go to distance, like at minus 5,000. Like, this, like, legit be the first. Like, it's always like, like, I think the I forgot what fight. Oh, the Tafa versus Shara fight was like minus 1,100 to not go to distance. This fight might be like minus 3,000 to 5,000 to not go to distance.
That means I'll probably sprinkle 0.1 unit on distance, right? And expecting Ngannou to wrestle.
Me too. Yo, me too. And in the over, right? It'll probably set at 1.5 instead of 2.5. And yeah, over is probably going to be even money or plus money. So I like
I'm
that.
licking my lips right now.
Like that.
Yeah, right. Calvin loving the overs. Did they switch the PFL? They got what is the difference right now in gloves in the PFL and the UFC with the new UFC gloves? Like, what kind of? I'd be interested to see what kind of equipment they're using, their KO rates versus the UFC, because we know since they switched the new gloves, KO rates are down over 30%. So,
well, you can't really compare the KO rates because in the playoffs, people go for first round KOs all the time.
It's a good point.
So it's like, no, not a lot of people go. Like, both parties will be going for the first round KO or first round finish. It's not like that a lot with the UFC. A lot of people play safer. A lot of people, go grapple and stuff like that. So
that's why I like
the PFL turns into Dana White Contender Series.
I like that though. I like the tournament style scoring, and it really makes the fighters go after it in those first couple rounds for sure.
No, for sure. Yeah, different context when you have to get the finish early on if you want a certain amount of points, right? So that will increase the KO rate for sure. Increase the crime rate. Awesome breakdown on Renan Ferreira versus Francis Ngannou. We're all riding with the plus 245 dog, La Problema, who honestly, like, he's got the intangibles too. 4 years younger, multiple, some reach advantage, height advantage. Maybe he's the commodity to kind of take over the heavyweight title, and Francis can be more of the businessman. Maybe that's the narrative I'm building out, right? And as he goes deeper into his age, and 38 years old now is Ngannou.
But even that, Francis Ngannou is only fighting super fights for the PFL. So if he loses this, it's not like, he has to go back at the end of the tournament or something. He's just fighting huge fights, whoever they give him in PFL.
Right. So there you have it, right? No matter what, win, lose, or draw, it makes dollars for Ngannou. So you got to love it, right? He's invested, with equity in the company, and I think there's going to be an epic fight. Awesome stuff, fellas. UFC Fight Night, Michel Pereira, Anthony Hernandez, PFL main event, Ferreira versus Ngannou. We got takes all across the board. Watch it back, rewind, fast forward, pause, play, do whatever you want, but we got you covered, and I hope you enjoyed the show. From myself, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and my guy Cal on the ones and twos, we salute you from the Darts Podcast. Hit the like, hit the subscribe on the way out. We'll see you next week. Peace.